Hey guys, and today we're going to be learning how to make a gimmick card. So this is the gimmick we're going to be making right here. It's a normal card, so you can see it's 5 of spades on the front, but on the back it's got something that's a bit special. It's essentially marked, so you can see it's got a normal red back, but then it has some blue back design which reveals that it's the 5 of spades. So it's a really fun gimmick to use. I'm going to be showing in some feature tutorials maybe some tricks you can explore with this card. One way I like to use it is you sort of you take a card, you force the spectators to pick the 5 of spades, you reveal to them the wrong card, and then you do some sort of colour change to show the 5 of spades printed on the back, and you can flip it over and show that it actually is the 5 of spades. So that's a pretty cool use of this gimmick. These making gimmick videos, I think I've only done one in the past, which was about making double backers, and that was nearly 2 years ago now. So I intended on doing a lot more of these, but I just haven't had the time. So you can see that other video is going to be playing in the background. That was about making double backers. If you haven't seen it, links will be in the description, because some of the skills taught in that video there will be used in this video as well. So that's all we're going to be learning today. That being said, let's get into it. Okay, so before we get started in the actual process of making this gimmick, let's take a look at some of the things you're going to need. So you're going to need 2 different colours of card. You're going to need for example, one red card and one blue card, so just 2 contrasting colours, because you're going to be taking a part of one card and sticking it on the back of the other to make that different coloured card reveal. So obviously I've got red and blue, which is the most common pairing. You can use whatever colours you would like. As well as those, you're going to need something to cut the cards. So I've got this little sort of like a craft knife, I suppose. I'm not sure how sharp this is going to be. It's not the usual one I would use back home. I left my really sharp craft knife at home, unfortunately. But I have this really useful gadget. It's got like a knife, and then it's got other things, like it's got this little pen in there. It's just a really useful gadget, really. So I use it sometimes if you need something doing. This has probably got a little gadget for it. I'll be using that little knife. And then you're going to need something to cut the cards on, so you don't damage your mat or whatever you're cutting on. So I've got my trusty chopping board from the kitchen, and I'm going to be using this. And the final thing you're going to need is some glue as well. You're going to need a glue stick. I would recommend using something like Elmer's glue, but if you haven't got any of that, just try it with a glue stick and just see if it works, really. Nearly forgot, a ruler may also come in handy as well later on in the process. So if you saw my video a couple of years ago, actually now, making gimmicks part 1, that I went through the process of splitting cards. So if you've never done that before, cards have 3 layers. So there's a paper stock layer on the face, a paper stock layer on the back, and in between there is a card stock layer, which essentially makes the cards, cardy, basically. So we're going to be splitting those 3 layers apart, and we're going to be taking the back layer off both of these cards and sticking them on one, okay, to make the gimmick. So how do we split that back layer off? Well, I'm going to show you right now. What you need to do is you need to take this top left hand corner here, and you sort of bend it back on itself a tiny little bit. Okay, so we're going to bend it that way and then back the other way. I'm just going to repeat this a few times until you can see the layers are starting to come apart. You'll see what I mean. So I've done that a few times now. Now if you see up in the corner, we start just doing that. You can see I've exposed 3 layers. I don't know if the camera picked that up, but definitely by eye I can now see that 3 layers of the come apart. You want to separate that back paper layer from the other 2, okay? So I've bent the back paper layer that way, the other 2 that way. Now we're going to start splitting this back layer off, okay? And this is how you do it. So you want to put the paper layer face down. Actually, you might want to get a harder surface for this splitting part. So the layer we're splitting off, the back layer, is going to be on the table. The other 2 are on top. And you want to place your index finger on the corner. Well, actually, you just want to rip it a tiny bit, just make sure those layers are a bit more apart before we start. Okay, so I've peeled them apart slightly. Place that corner down on the table and apply your index finger or something to that. Okay, so we're going to go like that. And now you're going to start pulling the other two layers just in a diagonal line across the card. So we're peeling those two layers away from the back layer. Okay, so I'm just going to enlarge that gap a bit more. Actually, it's a bit too small at the moment. Okay, so there you go. Place your index there in that corner, and then just start pulling, ripping this way. Okay. Now, as you do this, you want to move your index finger along with the tear, so it's perfectly aligned with the seam. So you wouldn't want to have your index finger there and start ripping like that, because there's a big gap in between. That's how the card's going to tear. And instead, you move your index finger all the way up to the seam as you do this. Okay, and keep going. So it's quite a drawn-out process. It's a bit tedious, takes a while, but if you do this really well, then this gimmick will look amazing when it's finished. Okay, so you can see how I'm moving my whole hand with the tear to make sure it's a good rip I'm getting here. Okay, so just keep going. And now when you get to the bottom, this is one of the tricky bits, because you've got to separate the two layers. Okay, so you can see I'm all the way down to the bottom now. I've got a really clean tear on those two layers. We've just got to separate it at the bottom now, which is the tricky bit, because you really don't want to get a tear at this point. So be really gentle, take it very slowly when you're doing this. Okay, so you can see I'm nearly there now. Just that last corner to go. Don't rush this, really take your time with it. And there we have it. Okay, so I've entirely ripped that layer off, and I'm really pleased with how that's turned out now. So you can see that entire back of the card, this paper layer. Look how, when I was trying to demonstrate how different the layers are, this is a paper layer, so you can see it's literally just paper. And this is the cardstock layer behind is what makes the card, you can handle it as a card. So this is where your ruler that I mentioned earlier comes in. You're just going to flatten this out a bit, okay? So you want to take it and you just want to be just pulling it under the ruler like that, because we're just trying to make the card a bit flat. Make sure it's not all bent everywhere, because it's going to make it very hard to stick down, and it's going to make the gimmick not handle very well. So just try and get it as flat as possible. It doesn't have to be perfect, because we're going to be sticking it down later anyway. But you just want to make sure those corners, particularly, that we had to bend quite a lot, we just want to make sure they're nice and flat. That's not too bad. I'm happy with that. You want to repeat this exact same process on your blue back card. I'm not going to film that. Well, I will film it, but I'm not going to take you through it step by step. I'll probably speed it up. So we're just going to do that very quickly. So I've just finished tearing this blue card, and you can clearly see I have a lot more trouble with it. If you were watching closely on that speed up section of the video, you can see I had to start on like 3 different corners, because the rip just wasn't going well. So if that happens to you, you get stuck, or the layers start, you get a weird tear. So you can see, I'll just show you on maybe, see off in this corner, this layer, the paper layer, started coming away from the card layer when I was ripping it, which is not what you want to happen. So I had to start on another corner over here, and then another one over here. So I had to essentially start 3 different times on the same card. But I managed to rescue most of the card. This top layer just went away from me in the end. But if this happens, it's okay, because for this gimmick, we actually only need a small section of the middle of this card, okay? We don't need the entire layer, so this is why this can still be used, okay? So even if this happens, you haven't wasted an entire card, because we're not going to use this full card, okay? So don't panic too much about it. It's absolutely fine. So now we're getting into the part where we have to cut the cards, okay? Now this bit, there's something we have to do slightly before. Something you may not know about bicycle cards. I'll just get another 2 to show you. is that the back design is not symmetrical. Well, it is, but you'll see what I mean. See this top white margin here? This margin on this side of the card, this short end, this is actually bigger than the white margin on this end, and this is true for all bicycle this back design card. So you can see here I've got the big margin up here and the little one down there. Now you may think, why am I telling you this? This is not going to make a difference at all, but it actually does with this, because if you were to cut the cards with one that way and one this way, what actually happens is you get a slightly different alignment of the back. So the card that I cut here would actually be further down than this. So if I tried to put this back design onto this card, it wouldn't perfectly match up and the gimmick wouldn't be perfect. Maybe hard to get your head around now, but you'll see what I mean later on. So you need to make sure both of the red and blue cards that we've cut here, you need to make sure they're both in the same, they're both the same way. So they've both got that big margin up at this top end. So I'm just comparing now. It's kind of hard to do with ripped cards, and I think I've got it correct there. So I've got the little margins down at the bottom, and the larger ones are up at the top. Okay, so you can just tell that by eye. It's not too hard to judge. So this is the part where we're going to begin to cut the cards. So what you want to do is we want to carve a 5 of spades reveal onto both of these. So we want to cut out a 5 and a spade on both of these backs, because then we're going to transfer a 5 of spades in blue back onto this card. So that's how we're going to do it. And we're doing the 5 of spades because that is the card I've taken this back design from. So we're going to put a little reveal on the back to make it a marked card. Okay, it's going to be part of the trick, which I'll teach you how to do in a future tutorial. But you just want to carve a 5 and a spade onto both of these back designs. You could do this by both need to be as closely, identical to each other as possible. So you can do it like that if you like. Just lay them on top of each other and carve like that. But I think because they're paper and they're so flimsy, I'm not sure if that would work. Try it by all means, but I'm just going to do it freehand and get it as close as I can. So I'm just going to carve a 5 and a spade onto both of these, and I'll speed it up for you guys. Okay, so you can see right there I've cut out a 5 and a spade on that, and now I'm just going to try and copy that onto this blue back card, which is going to be pretty tricky, but just take your time and it should be fine. So there you go, I've cut out the 2 5 of spades on both cards. I think I got it pretty close to how it looks on both actually. I'm pretty impressed with how that came out. So now you can get rid of the 2 bits you don't need. So I don't need this blue backed bit, and I don't need this the other 5 of spades bit. However, if you want to make 2 gimmicks for 5 of spades, you can do. So what you can actually do is you can place the 5 of spades red bit you've cut out on the blue back, and the blue ones on the red back. But I'm not going to do that because, as I said, I messed up the tearing of the blue back earlier, as you know, so I can't really use that. But if you manage to do both perfectly, you can make actually 2 gimmicks. So this is a really good method for doing it. So once you've got both bits, you can just compare how it looks. So you can stick that in there. So you got it pretty close to how it was on the first bit, and the spade bit fits in there. So it's like a jigsaw puzzle essentially. You just fit both bits in there. And the reason we don't just cut out one bit and stick it on the other card, we actually rip both, is because there would be a weird edge on the gimmick. So you'd be able to tell there's more layers than necessary there. So you fit it in like a jigsaw puzzle, so the card is really flat on top and it looks like a regular card. So that's what it's going to look like when we stick it back on this 5 of spades. That's what we're going to do now. So you're going to need your glue. So first of all, you want to stick this paper layer back onto the card layer. You want to leave these flimsy pip bits alone for the time being. We'll stick them on later. Okay, so we're going to stick this back on here like this. You want to line it up. Get your glue stick. So as I said, I'm just using a regular Pritt stick, regular glue stick, nothing too special. Okay, I haven't actually got much left, so I'm going to have to be conservative about how much I use. So you just want to get glue all over the place. Don't don't leave any bit uncovered, because it's not going to create a great product if one bit of your card isn't sticky. Okay, because it'll just mean that some of it's hanging off and some of it's not, and you'll be able to tell that it's a gimmick card. So you want plenty of glue because you want it to handle like a normal card later on as well. So I'm literally just smothering the back of this cardstock layer with glue all over the place. I think I got it all there, because it's going to be tricky as well to apply it later on, so you can't really peel up the corners because it might tear. You don't want to risk tearing this layer that we've been so careful about for the past half an hour. So once you've stuck all that glue down, you just want to line up the corner. Okay, make sure you've got it perfect before you actually go ahead and stick anything down. So I'm just trying to line those up, and you want to get it all the way across to the other side. Make sure there's no little pockets of air or anything in it. It's not creased at all. So you really want to pull it like this, pull it away from the centre to stretch it to those edges. You want it to handle like a normal card. This is where your ruler comes in again. So you're going to use your ruler to just press like that. This will get the creases out of the card, like so. So you just want to go all over with the ruler, literally every single corner of the card. Just doing it like this, and this will really pay off later on when the glue's dried, and it'll handle very well. You won't be able to really tell the difference too much, because this gets the creases out of the card, which you really want to do. The one area in particular you want to focus on is these corners. So we worked them so hard earlier to make them split. These are going to need a lot of glue and a lot of sort of going over with the ruler to make them look normal again. So really take your time on those sections as well. So once you've done that, a bit of the card should be laying pretty flat and there's not many creases in it. You can stick these two final bits on to complete your gimmick. So I would recommend applying glue to this bit and not the actual card, because otherwise you're going to get glue on the gimmick, which isn't going to look good. So just literally stick them on top of the glue stick and rub them around a bit. They are quite flimsy, so be careful. So you want to get a decent amount of glue on there. Okay, I'm just trying to not get glue on my fingers and then transfer it onto the top. That will also be bad. Once you've got enough glue on there, you just want to take it down to the card, line it up with the tear you made, and then I haven't quite got that aligned, unfortunately. You just want to be really careful. I'm rushing this for the video, but when you do it back home, you want to be a bit more careful than that. Okay, so you literally just line it up. See, I've missed that top corner bit, but when you do it, it's going to look a lot better, I'm sure. So you got to be careful. Oh well, this is only for a tutorial, but yeah, make sure they align really well. Do the same for your spade. Get the glue all up in there, and stick it down. I'll try and do this one a little bit better. Yeah, that's not too bad. There you go. Stick that down there, and then once again, use your ruler. Be careful because you don't want to get these edges. You don't want to, tear them away from the cards again, damage them anyway. So really be careful when you're doing this. That you're sticking it down well, but you're not tearing the edges. Just do that. give it a press with the ruler like that, and there you have it. That is your gimmick 5 of spades reveal on the back of a card. So now you just got to wait for the glue to dry, and a great method for doing this and making the card really stick together well is getting a really heavy book and sticking it down on top of it. So I'm just going to get one right now. So here we go. I've got quite a big book here. I'm meant to be using this for an essay, but you know, priorities and that. So you want a heavy book so the card can be really stuck down well. And you just take the card, literally just stick it underneath the book and leave it there for a day or two, and it'll be fine. Should be really ready to go when you take it back. So I'm just going to leave it like that on my desk under this really heavy book for a while. Come back a bit later on and see how it's doing. So that's going to be all for today's video, guys. If you did enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like, favourite, comment and subscribe. And if you've got any suggestions about how this gimmick can be used, leave them down in the comment section and I'll be really eager to check those out. Maybe if your idea is great, I'll feature it in a future tutorial about how to use these gimmicks, because those are some of the videos that I definitely intend to make in the future. So yeah, that's all I've got for you today. Hope you guys are enjoying the new content, and hopefully I'll see you very soon in another video from here at uni. But for now, this has been Complete Deception, and I'll see you later.